Okay, so I just had to make a video on this. I had this thought in my head. As I was going through, I was looking for like new images to examine for a video. I was like, this is where I found the last video that I made. This is where I found the image, right? Like, what is all this? What is all this stuff? You know, it's like, okay, my knowledge and my wisdom, my understanding never increased, never, not really, until I came into God, you know, until I came into Christ. That's when it began to increase. When I asked God for help, and now, it began from there. Asking God for help. I was like, God, you know, I'm really confused. I'm getting a lot of information, input, and I don't understand what it means. You know, I don't get it. Like, what is all this stuff? Stuff that was being shown to me before. I mean, I started off with Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I started off with his videos, and before then, there was like a little period where it was like, lasers shot down the two things. You know what I mean? You know what they shot down. They've shot down a lot of other stuff too, I'm sure. Et cetera, et cetera. Shot down all these things and the fires and under the sea, ancient Earth, technology, how they made the pyramids, body, 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 body. The list goes on and on. And kind of how I feel about that period is okay. So what? I would examine that in a spiritual way. Like, what does it mean? A laser, like this picture right here, like the sun, you know, and like a mirror, like the moon, using the information, the God-given information for a bad purpose, like magnifying it to a single line, like a single point, like using it for a specific purpose rather than just whatever is given to you as the reason therein, like letting it shine in all directions, but you direct it to a single point and you make it destructive. You make it a controlling thing by using the information and the awareness given to you by God. You like point that downwards from yourself and attack people beneath yourself. Not beneath you like in a sense of like they're not as good as you, but like they're just different. They're not on the same point of the record, the same point of the spiral as you are. And you use that to control them and to control the narrative. And by controlling the narrative, you control the subconscious mind of people who are in the spirit but not yet have awoken to the truth of Christ. And by redirecting their energy that's God given, you can turn into a laser, right? A laser, like a single point of light that burns through a single, thing and burns a hole in something, whether it be symbolic, physical, whatever, however you want to take that. I think that's kind of what that means. The laser, the symbolic concept of the laser. Why does that exist in conspiracy? You know. But anyway, really, what I wanted to talk about, going back to this, gee whiz, they always want to know who you are at all times. Whatever, I don't care. Let them know. What are they gonna do? You know what I mean? Oh, we're gonna drop a nuke on everyone. I wish you would. You know what I mean? Do it then. What? Okay. Now what? You know what I mean? Like, oh god, everybody's gonna die. Yeah, everybody is gonna die. If nothing happened, everyone would die. You know what I mean? If nothing at all different happened, that was already going to happen. Ooh, this is weird. Look at that. Check this out. ZP. That's my name. Zachary Pulley. ZP. You know what I mean? Like, stuff just pops out like that. You know? It's crazy. So, like, what what is all this? I ask again. It's like there's something that Ben said where it was like don't use your knowledge to scare fools, you know? And what else would you call this other than turning simple concepts into all these convoluted like symbol vomits? You know what I mean? You're like, "Whoa, what do you mean?" Like it's like extremely well crafted and hidden meaning, deep esoteric knowledge. Yeah, but when I look at it, it's like all the same answer, you know? It's like all of it. And it's like I was talking about in the previous video with like the the minutia, hierarchical minutia, the complication of things that are simple, the division of the truth, you know? It's like you take little nuggets of basic truth and you like hide them in all these hyper complicated, diametric analogous hermetical diagrams, you know? Like what? Like what is like really? You know what I mean? It's like all these things like this purposeful confiscation of the truth, you know? The Nikola Tesla multiplication map, you know? It's like, yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly what I said in the last video, and this is too, where it like descends downward. That's like hell right here. This is the same thing as the previous image that I was talking about, you know? It's the same thing as like the previous video that I put up, you know? Like the same exact thing. So if I pull it up here, this, okay? This right here is the same as this. This and this, the same thing. It's the same concept. I'm pretty sure the description I gave it is about as simple as you're going to get it. You know, you ask someone and they'll tell you, like, look at this. Look at the description on this. Who does not understand should either learn or be silent. Okay? Like, jerk, you know? I mean, dickhead, you know what I mean? This should be silent if you do not understand, and this is not for you, and this is not to be, you have to be like, why? What, what, what a childish, like, thought form that you just want to keep knowledge and you don't want to let it out. Like I said in another video, there's some things I might never say, and it's not because I don't want people to know them. It's just because like there's no way for me to say it. I don't think, and I'll still give it out, but I have to give it in ways that like the writings that I give in the description of my videos, in the thumbnail and the title of the video. It's not just like it's not just like supposed to be a description of the video. I mean, it is in a way, like a really vague way. It's like supposed to be form like this, like one of these, right? It's supposed to form one of these images, but in like a literary sense and like a symbolic, like spiritual sense, and it's meant to have the opposite effect that these do. Like this is like obfuscation, like occulting, like hiding the truth, and all these like, because a normal person would look at this and go like, William, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You know, like what? You know what I mean? And I don't mean a normal person like an NPC, like your aunt or something looking at it and going like, this is satanic. You know what I mean? Like I mean it is, a lot of it is, but uh, it's like a person who is real and does have a spirit but hasn't quite come into the truth. Like this to me has one of two effects. It's either going to draw you in and make you be like, man, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, what? And then, like, look at it more. And then, by nature of that, you don't, like, come to understand the image necessarily, but you will go towards the right direction, you know? Maybe towards the Bible or towards the Quran or any other number of religious texts leading you to God. And when I look at these now with the eyes that I have, I can discern some information here, but it's basic. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that, oh, I'm so wise that I just know all and this is just such low stuff. Like, it is low stuff, but not for that reason. It's like it is that way from the beginning. You know what I mean? It is that way from the beginning. Like, it's very simple things that over the course of time, because there's a single complicated factor, like a single marring of the truth that evolves in all this crap. I mean, I'm not saying it's crap. I'm not saying these people are bad people or anything like that. It's just like, why? Just say it plainly. And there are many things that you cannot say plainly. That much is obvious, you know what I mean? That's what I was talking about with the stuff I write in the descriptions. That's why I say that stuff, because it can like give you sort of a hint as to what I'm trying to come across with. Because my language and things I say are not at all sufficient, you know? So hopefully a more artistic expression of it can lead into a deeper understanding through your own discernment. Like, it'll open up something in you that will lead you to the truth in an emotional and spiritual sense, you know? And this, I feel like, does the opposite a lot of the times. Like this. Let's just click on one, like this one. The key to the universe. It's like, what? Why is this the key to the universe? I don't get it. That's how I can imagine what somebody would say. And it's not like I can look at it and be like, oh, well, I understand it, but I'm just not going to tell you. Like, that's what I get with the energy I get from this stuff. You know, people just regurgitate things that they've heard, like from some sort of occult book they looked up, like Aleister Crowley or something, and they just regurgitate it and like, but then act like they know something that you don't to like get one up on you, and then like manipulate you subconsciously. You know, like, yeah, this stuff does have truth in it. It really does. But it can be said in a way that's not like this. Like, this has the energy of like of you know, a lot of this has the energy of someone who wants to control. You know, so okay, let's look at this. Okay, let's look at this image. As above, so below. Okay. Okay, so we have a placenta, the tree of life, a baby connected to an umbilical cord, as above, so below. All right. So, as the umbilical cord connects an unborn baby to the placenta, so does the Sivler cord, which is like them. I guess that's like some kind of spiritual cord to your eternal self, and thus the the forces, the God, the true source of life, God. When the umbilical cord is cut, we are born in this realm. When the silver cord is cut, we die and be reborn in another realm. Like, kinda, sorta, not, I guess, you know? It's okay, but do you understand now? Like, it's hard to explain. Okay, that's funny. It's hard to explain what I'm trying to explain. It's funny that the whole concept itself is hard to explain when I'm the concept is things being hard to explain. But anyway, um um it's like none of this seems to be helpful a lot of the time. It's only helpful in the sense that it will lead you towards thinking in that manner. It's not the fact that this tells you anything. Like, so many of these, okay, and this is going to be controversial, okay? Don't take this personally. I want you to think about this, okay? Like, a lot of of women on here. God bless women. A lot of women on here like post all this stuff about like, oh, rate your soulmate. Like this is about love. This is about your soulmate. Like this is about finding your soulmate. This is about finding your love. But then their behavior, how do I put this? It's like all this complicated understanding, but they don't gain any understanding from it because of their intent. It's like not the intent you want to have if you would like to understand something. It's not that's just an example. That's not like the whole point of this. It's the fact that a lot of this is like that. It's like there's no truth to be found in it. How do I explain? It's like look at all this stuff, look at the words and look at the images and like what do you see? Right? Let's click on another one. Empath duality. Oh, it's like so weird. Like, okay, yes, pretty much. Like, yeah, okay, there is a phase where a veil is placed over them, a veil over your eyes, and then it's lifted. That's what basically this is talking about, you know? But, like, okay, you read the comments. It's like, oh, I'm seeing all these synchronicities from the universe. But when you ask these people, like, okay, what does that mean? Like, oh, that means my boyfriend wasn't the right boyfriend. Like, being an empath, it's like all a justification for being right all the time. Like, like you, damn, how do I put it? Like you, it's like to say, oh, I'm an empath. I know this person is a bad person, when in reality, it's not because they actually have any sort of empathic like ability. It's because they see a negative, like physical, unattractive aspect of this person, and then they like complicate it into this endlessly cycling, like outward spiral of like pseudo spiritualism, you know? So it's like we're being made fun of. Does that make sense? It's like being mocked. And there's a lot of that talk about being mocked, about them, I'm talking about them being mocked, you know. I hear this like shadow work thing all the time. You gotta do your shadow work. People don't know what that means. People don't know. You have to come through God. You have to come through Jesus Christ. That is the only key. And that Jesus Christ has many names. Okay, so I'm not excluding your culture. Jesus Christ has many names. So there's many ways to reach through that, but like this stuff is not the way. I don't know how to describe it. If you understand, you understand. There is truth in this stuff, but there's not truth in it because it has truth in it inherently. It's because the Spirit of God in you, the awareness, can like dig up truth that is embedded in it specifically for the cause of informing you. You know what I mean? Like this isn't universally truthful. It's just like all information, all media. Like you can see something and be like, yeah, that's true. That's true. You know? So that's like anything you see would have information in it. And this stuff, the reason why I feel like it can be harmful, like all this sort of overcomplicated imagery made by people who aren't necessarily aware, and you don't understand what this means or what this stuff, all this stuff is on a spiritual level, they don't have the capacity to. It can lead people. It's like that video I made with the diagram with like the hourglass hand or like the clock hand. It has all the different phases of coming into God. And one of the phases was like uh things that cannot be known, like romanticism and like stuff like that, like dead vines. This is dead vines here, dead vines. However, because you are a living vine, you can dig up like the living matter out of it. But it inherently, to me, seems like it seems like just spiraling downwards to me. You know, there's no truth in any of that. I don't see any like none of this is like sincere. It's all like people trying to act like they know something. It's all about relationships and like simple things on a base level. It's like people wanting attention. You know what I mean? It's like how to speed up your manifestations. NoFap 369 method, pillow technique, talk to your water, and what are these people trying to manifest? Most likely material wealth or some sort of relationship into their life. I talk a lot about being isolated, but I do not request that God change that because I feel like um it's part of my journey. Like it's something that has to happen. That's the answer that I got from God whenever I requested something different. He gave it to me and I didn't like it. So apparently that's not what was meant to happen, you know? So all this stuff, it's obfuscation. Self healing hand positions. Put your hand on your butt. Like I'm sorry. put your put your hand on your butt and that'll heal you. Like I don't maybe it's true, maybe it will heal me. Maybe I should try putting my hands on my butt. Put your hands on you. Hands, elbows, knees and toes, knees and toes. You know what I mean? You gotta laugh, you gotta cry, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta laugh, you gotta cry. Like the mudras for anxiety. Like, you think any of this shit's gonna make a difference? No, it's not, right? Like, you have to seek healing in a way that cannot be done through all these methods. The healing is healing the connection between yourself and God. It's not like any physical healing that takes place or mental healing or spiritual healing. It's like it comes from God. So why would you try to all you're doing when you do this stuff is like you're looking at like a statue in the corner or like some tree or something, right? Or something that God made. And it's like God's right there. You could ask him, but like instead you like look in the corner and you start like throwing up gang signs and like touching your butt. It's like just come to me. Come directly to the source. Come directly to the source for healing and I will heal you. He will heal you. Period. Just come directly to the source. You know? Just come directly to the source. You don't need all this. I mean, frankly, you can call it negative, call it whatever you want. It's frankly just stupid. I'm sorry, it's just how I think about it. It's stupid. I mean, I'm sure I'll think about this differently later, and I don't blame any individual. Okay, I'm just saying this concept, this like concept here, all this stuff, like comes up with all this. You know what I mean? Who are these? Who are these people out here? There's so much of it. Like pseudo spiritualism. Like it's like trying to look at anything but God. Look at anything but God. You know, like, oh yeah, let's like marginalize people here. And let's subject them to like classification. And this right here, this type of crap is like the same as this. That right here is this. Think about that. This classification. In reality, you want equal standing. You know. And hey, I'm not perfect. Not at all. I have many toxic and bad thoughts about people. Just have to let it go. I do my best. I know what's bad and what's good, and I'm fighting for my the rest of myself to go along with things that I already understand. So don't get caught up in thinking that you don't know enough, or that you don't know as much as someone else, or that you don't like. It's like you don't that you're not like good enough, that you don't understand something. I promise, I promise that if you come to God and you ask for wisdom, He will give you wisdom. But don't be surprised if the majority of it is not something that you can share out into the world as much as you'd like to. I mean, that's unfortunate that's like that in this place, but it is what it is. You're not going to be able to use it to gain power. You're not going to be able to use it to gain any worldly thing. It'll just be there. You know, it'll just be there. That's all there is. And that'll be satisfying enough. It's satisfying for me, you know. It really is. Satisfying to understand these things because it brings me closer to the way God thinks. That's unattainable, but closer is better than farther away. So don't worry about all this crap. Don't worry about all the symbols all the time. I just use these like as a cipher, like as an inspiration. Like I could look at anything. I could look at a picture of anything, and like use it as a scrying orb, because my power comes not from the mass quantification of symbolism and having like to get a single little bit of information out of years of research, but because I'm connected to the mind of God, and it sifts through all the crap and gives you the truth, bam, just like that, right away, right away. It's right there. You know what I mean? You can have it. You can have eternal life. You can have all the information that you want and that you're looking for, and all the perspective that you're looking for right now. You can have it. If you come to God and you ask God, He will give it to you. It's like your father. I don't know what your relationship is like with your father or your mother, if they're here or gone. But imagine your father. Imagine a father. Um, and you go to your father. You haven't spoke to him for weeks. He hasn't seen you for weeks, and he really cares about you. He's a really good guy. He really does everything for you. And you come to your father. What do you think he'll say if you ask him, "Hey, Dad, can you give me some advice? I'm really having trouble. I'd really like to understand more about things that you understand. Can you help me?" He will help you. Why go ask his friend? Why go ask some guy that used to know him? Why some guy that dresses up like your father and acts like him? That's like a psycho. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? That's what this is. It's like going to anything but God. Go directly to God. He will give you the awareness. He will give you the fire that will burn through all the bullshit and just distill it into whatever grain of truth you manage to get out of it. You know? That's all there is to it. Don't get wrapped up in this stuff, guys. Love yourself. Love the people around you, even if they don't love you back. That's what you're here to do, you know? You're going to make it. It's going to be okay. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough. And don't look at crap like all this. Don't look at all this crap right here and think that because you don't understand it, like somehow you've got more work to do. You don't. There's no more work to be done once you come to God. There's only however much you wish to accomplish and whatever goals you have, but there's no pressure. God will save you from this place if you wish to be saved. I promise you. I promised you. God bless you guys. You guys have a good evening, morning, night, etc. Thank you. I'll leave this. Just look at this for a second. Again, just think about it.